and the other will be back in the other road from Rironi, and from here towards Nakuru, as he will also join the other team from Mau Summit. So, Your Excellency, here 6 lanes. We'll be having 6 lanes, 3 on either side. The length for Shandong towards Mau Summit is 94 kilometers, and then the other one will be 139 kilometers, Mai section of the road. Yes. So generally, Excellency, this is the pictures depicting what you are supposed to be doing. We are going to complete this road within 2 years. We have said by April 2027, we should be able to be out of this place. That is where we are. Your Excellency, we shall have a small video here, just to show what has been happening.
The Nairobi-Nakuru section of the A8 corridor, from Rironi through Naivasha, Gilgil, Nakuru up to Mau Summit, has been the life transport movement for decades. Families traveling, and entire communities have depended on this section of the highway every single day. However, over the years, traffic has grown, delays have stretched longer, and congestion has become a routine. This road section has been pushed far beyond what it was ever designed to handle. Now the government is rebuilding it under the Public-Private Partnership, PPP, into a stronger, safer, and ready for the future. From Rironi to Gilgil, the highway will be expanded into a dual 4-lane carriageway, giving drivers more space, smoother flow, and a safer journey along one of the busiest exits from the metropolitan region. From Naivasha through Gilgil to Nakuru West, the corridor widens even further into a dual 6-lane expressway, built to accommodate the intense traffic volumes that power the northern corridor every day. Through Nakuru town, a new viaduct lifts traffic above the city's most congested sections, restoring predictability and easing movement for both residents and long-distance travelers. Beyond Nakuru to Mau Summit, the road continues as a dual 4-lane carriageway, completing a high-capacity route that strengthens trade, transport, and daily mobility across the Rift Valley. Throughout the corridor, improved lighting, clearer signage, upgraded drainage, and enhanced safety systems will reshape the highway for long-term reliability and comfort. In select sections of the corridor, modern toll stations will be installed for entries and exits. The Rironi-Naivasha-Gilgil-Nakuru-Mau Summit Road, a stronger, safer corridor, is underway, overseen by the Kenya National Highways Authority for a new era and a new Kenya. Kenya National Highways Authority, quality highways, better connections.
Hii barabara yenu ya kutoka Nairobi kuja Nakuru mpaka Mau Summit, na sasa nimesema sitaki ikwame Mau Summit, nataka iende Kericho, iende Kisumu, na iende Eldoret, iende Malaba.
For years, the Rironi-Mau Summit Road has been a name that stirred one memory for most Kenyans: traffic. Long, stressful hours spent bumper to bumper, engines idling, families waiting, businesses losing time, and journeys that took far longer than they ever should.
Nakuru Eldoret Highway. Kama una travel leo, make sure tu umeairisha hiyo safari, kwa sababu unaona watu wote wamelala hapa since yesterday 7 PM.
Serikali mko wapi? Na mnaona ile mambo iko huku? Na sasa hii jamu kusema barabara
kwa kusema na kutenda. Haya basi, Mheshimiwa Rais sasa tunaomba aende kwa interview. Wengine tubaki hapa tafadhali. Wengine tubaki. Mheshimiwa Rais ataenda peke yake kwa interview tafadhali. Tubaki kwa sababu anaenda kwa ile stage. Tubaki tu tafadhali. Tubaki. Anaenda media interview pale. It's a media interview. He'll do that, and then after that he will then be flagging off to the other road. So tafadhali tuwe na subra kidogo ili
many travelers, I know many business people, I know many entrepreneurs who have gone through difficult times trying to get them visas across the country. But kwanza mradi huu wa barabara hii ya kilomita 230, kwa sababu tutakuwa na barabara kutoka pale Kamandura kufika Naivasha, na kutakuwa hiyo ni barabara leni 4, alafu kupitia chini barabara ambayo inatoka Kamandura kwenda chini Mai, alafu baadaye kuja Naivasha leni 4, kutoka Naivasha kupitia hapa Gilgil kwenda Nakuru itakuwa barabara leni 6, na kutoka Nakuru leni 4 zingine mpaka Mai. Hiyo barabara yote, namba ya kwanza, itaajiri vijana zaidi ya 15,000. Jambo la pili, tutakuwa na suppliers, wale wafanyabiashara wa hapa, wafanyabiashara wa simiti, wafanyabiashara wa chuma, wafanyabiashara ya mawe, wafanyabiashara wa kware, wafanyabiashara wa kokoto. Hiyo biashara zote quarries ambazo ziko hapa waanze kujipanga, kwa sababu wao ndio watasupply zile material ambayo itatumika katika hii barabara. Jambo la tatu, wale wote ambao wanaishi katika sehemu hii, pia wakati barabara hii inajengwa kutakuwa na biashara ya aina tofauti tofauti, na tumehakikisha ya kwamba katika barabara hii kutakuwa hapa na interchange ya kupeleka watu kwenda why do we have to have a loudspeaker, you know, interchange ya kwenda hapa Gilgil. Kutakuwa na interchange viaduct actually pale Nakuru, na tutahakikisha kwamba zile barabara ambazo ni za sehemu hii, kama moja ya kutoka mahali inaitwa Kanyariri pale kwenda Gilgil, tutatengeneza hiyo barabara iwe ni barabara mbadala, you know, alternative route wakati hii barabara inajengwa. Pia tutaangalia barabara ingine, kuna barabara ingine hapa Kikopei inaenda ikielekea Naivasha, pia hiyo tutaangalia, ndio tuhakikisha kwamba hiyo sehemu yote pia inashughuliwa barabara za hapa. So there is already a huge support to the community here, the business people here, those who will be supplying sand, those who will be supplying concrete, those who will be supplying stones, those who will be supplying the quarries around here, the people who are doing business, the suppliers of cement, the suppliers of steel. All those people will be in the equation as we develop this road. It is a road where I have been assured by the contractors 60% at the minimum of all procurement will be done in Kenya. So the local content of 40% will actually move from 40% to 60% to make sure that Kenya benefits as this road, and many communities and citizens living along this road benefit as this road is being built.
Mr. President, in your grand plan, you have also announced the tarmacking of 20,000 kilometers.
28,000.
28,000 kilometers of road network.
Yes.
But the big question in Kenyans' minds is the financing of this tarmacking, owing to the debt question that obviously keeps ringing in our mind. What is your plan generally in terms of financing the construction of these roads?
Just for the record, the road you see here, we're not paying a single coin. This road is funded by PPP, private-public partnership, all right? The 2,500 kilometers of tarmac that I have said, highway, the 2,500 kilometers of highway will be funded again by the same private-public partnership, innovative financing. The rest of the roads in Kenya, I have already told the people of Kenya, the law was changed. I signed it last week into law that we're going to have a national infrastructure fund. The National Infrastructure Fund is going to get funding from our budget, from proceeds of privatization,
from royalties of our natural resources and leveraging on that from the private sector. So we're looking at a new way of financing that does not lead Kenya into more borrowing, that does not lead Kenya into taxes, but is innovative, using the assets that we already have, using the resources that we already have. We can transform, we can use those resources to raise additional funding, to securitize, to leverage on our capital markets, to leverage on those resources to raise additional funding from that. We have a lot of resources in the private sector, but unless you have an instrument, a mechanism, an agile, tool for you to use in leveraging the private sector, you will not be able to achieve the resources that would transform this country. And that is why I am very clear in my mind, and I want to tell the good people of Kenya, the people who have given me an opportunity to be president and to lead this nation, I want to assure them that the 5 trillion plan, by next year, 2026, I already have a plan on how we are going to raise half that amount to next year. And then in the coming year, and run all these projects, because this is what, ambition is all about. This is what big thinking is all about. This is about what creativity and innovation is all about. This is what other countries have done. They haven't done any miracles. They've just organized their resources, they've organized themselves, they've thought better, they have planned smarter, and that is how Kenya is going to move forward. When I said we are going to do affordable housing, markets and hostels, many people did not believe it. Today, we have signed contracts of 600 billion. In this county alone of Nakuru, we have the towns here in Gilgil 2 weeks ago to start a market. That is what is going on around Kenya. And that is how we are going to build this. And let me tell you, the challenge they have always had is small, making average what is the norm and acceptable. We must get rid of that. We must think bigger, we must plan smarter.
Let me follow up that question very quickly before Nsare comes in, and particularly PPP, because the rate of CRBC, for example, evokes those emotions of, is this another? What is the model?
Is being invested by private sector people. CRBC themselves are putting in their own money. This is going to be a toll road where they will recover their money slowly, the same way we built the expressway. The expressway is the best thing we have done in Kenya. It has made the travel from Jomo Kenyatta, which was sometimes 2-3 government of Kenya. That is how world-class infrastructure is delivered by countries around the world. Kenya is not going to be an exception.
Mheshimiwa Rais, kufuatilia swala hilo umezungumzia zile ada ambazo zinatozwa watumiaji wa barabara hii, na mara nyingi jiuliza labda haya matozo serikali imeweka kati ipi kuhakikisha matozo hayo yatakuwa nafuu.
Tayari kujenga, tayari wananchi wengi wanatumia pesa nyingi. Kukiwa na jam hapa, pesa sensitive. Magari kwa mfano ya abiria, ada yake itakuwa chini. Magari ya mizigo ndio wao ndio watalipa zaidi. Na hiyo ni desturi ama mpango inayoendelea duniani kote. Mahali popote unaona barabara nzuri, highways zimejengwa, they are always built on account of private-public partnerships, on the basis of tolling roads, because a road is not a cheap thing. A road is a very important artery and it stimulates the economy, and therefore we have to find a way of financing it.
Mheshimiwa, asante sana kwa jibu hilo, na nizungumzie swala lingine ambalo linajitokeza. Labda kuna mpango wa fidia kwa wale labda wataathirika katika mradi huu?
Barabara tayari tuko na, we have already a corridor, so there will be no need to move anybody from anywhere, so that does not arise.
Your Excellency, you revealed part of your grand plan again when you were in Uganda, and it's good you mentioned about this corridor because it's very important. But you also mentioned about the extension of the SGR all the way to Malaba. Sometimes there have been a sense of hesitation, particularly from the other side, in terms of starting the SGR. What agreement do you have, particularly with the government of Uganda, to ensure that it doesn't just stall at Malaba, it completes the corridor?
For your information, I have had a conversation with President Museveni. The government of Uganda is 100% aligned to what we are doing here in Kenya. The extension of the road, dualling of this road to Malaba, already has set the stage for it. When it gets to Malaba, it should go all the way to the border with DRC. We have agreed with President Museveni that as we extend the railway from Naivasha here, and for your information, that exercise is beginning in January.
Next year?
Yes. In another 2 months, I will be back here because we are already working on how to finance that facility. It will go to Kisumu and go to Malaba. That railway is now going to join what already Uganda have procured on their side, the SGR from Malaba to the border of DRC. So that railway is going to be one transport corridor that's going to open up Kenya, Uganda, South Sudan, Burundi, Rwanda, and DRC. And we are already aligned. A third artery that we are going to build also in consultation with the government of Uganda next year is to extend the pipeline from Eldoret to Malaba to Kampala and again to the border with DRC. That has already been agreed because unless and until we have this infrastructure, our region will continue to lag behind. And Kenya is the catalyst. Once we do it in Kenya, we justify then the rest of the journey into Uganda and into the rest of the East African region.
I want to follow up with that question, Your Excellency. The SGR from Nairobi to Naivasha sometimes has been criticized because of the low take-up of cargo and sometimes underutilization. What lessons has government learned to ensure that as we extend the SGR all the way to Malaba, it doesn't become another story of low take-up of cargo and underutilization?
Precisely, because the rail ended up in Naivasha, while most of the cargo go all the way to the hinterland of East Africa. That is why the justification we have for extending this road to Malaba, to make sense of it, so that anybody who is transporting, instead of having to clear goods twice, you transport the goods from Mombasa to Naivasha, and then you have to make another arrangement from Naivasha, either by road now to Kampala or to the rest of the country. Now it will be a one-way. And we have done the justification for this road, using the traffic, using the cargo that we have that goes to the hinterland of the East African community. And for your information, sometimes cargo once the rail has been built.
Mheshimiwa Rais, labda serikali ina mpango upi haswa? Kuna takriban 30% ya barabara ambazo zinahitaji kukarabatiwa humu nchini, si eneo hili tu, katika maeneo mengine. Labda serikali ina mpango upi kuhakikisha zinakarabatiwa?
Tayari tuko na contractors wale wote kwa miaka kwenye contractors wengi walitoka barabarani, na tuko na awamu ya pili, tumelipa 80%, tunalipa 20% kabla ya Disemba. Tuko na program ingine ambayo itatupatia another 120 million yenye itasukuma ujenzi hizo barabara zote sasa zimeanzishwa. Lakini vile vile kupitia kwa program ya National Infrastructure Fund % kabla ya Disemba, tuko na program ingine ambayo itatupatia another 120 billion next year yenye itasukuma ujenzi wa hizo barabara zote mpaka zikamilike by 2027. Hizo barabara zote ambazo kwa sasa zimeanzishwa. Lakini vile vile kupitia kwa program ya National Infrastructure Fund tayari nimeambia wizara wafanya mapping ya kilomita zingine 28,000 ambazo tutaanza next year wakati tume roll into action National Infrastructure Fund. So from next year utaona, Wakenya wataona barabara mpya zikitangazwa kupitia kwa ile program nao tutakuwa nayo na hazina tutakuwa nayo maalum ya National Infrastructure Fund, kwa sababu pale nyuma pesa zetu, na pia tuchanganye hiyo pesa na pesa ya private sector. Watu wa private sector wengi wako tayari kushirikiana na serikali tukiwa na mpango, na ndio sababu tumetengeneza bank ama fund ya National Infrastructure Fund.
Na Mheshimiwa umezungumzia swala hilo kwa undani zaidi, lakini tunafahamu fika mara nyingi wakandarasi unapata kwamba wameanzisha mradi wanachelewa kukamilisha. Labda ni mikakati ipi imewekwa kuhakikisha yule mwanakandarasi ambaye amepewa hiyo kazi anaitamatisha na anakuwa accountable?
Unajua, ukijenga barabara kutumia budget ya serikali, serikali isipolipa yule mwanakandarasi anasimama kwa sababu hana mpango mwingine. Ya private sector. Watu wa private sector wengi wako tayari kushirikiana na serikali tukiwa na mpango, na ndio sababu tumetengeneza bank ama fund ya National Infrastructure Fund.
Na Mheshimiwa Rais, umezungumzia swala hilo kwa undani zaidi, lakini tunafahamu fika mara nyingi wakandarasi unapata kwamba wameanzisha mradi wanachelewa kukamilisha. Labda ni mikakati ipi imewekwa kuhakikisha yule mwanakandarasi ambaye amepewa hiyo kazi anaitamatisha na anakuwa accountable?
Unajua, ukijenga barabara kutumia budget ya serikali, serikali isipolipa yule mwanakandarasi anasimama kwa sababu hana mpango mwingine. Tumebadilisha sasa kwamba ujenzi wa barabara utakuwa ni serikali inachangia kiasi, lakini yule pia ambaye anajenga hiyo barabara kupitia kwa private public partnership pia na yeye atachangia sehemu. Jambo la kwanza. Jambo la pili, kupitia kwa program ya National Infrastructure Fund, ile pesa tulio nayo